Hey, what's going on, Guardians? TBL here, and this is it. This is the big one. This is the State of Destiny 2. That's right, yesterday we finally got to hear back from Bungie, specifically about the state of the game, where they want to take it in the future, and of course, their response to community feedback. We got a very big blog post from Bungie on their website that I'll leave a link to down in the description box below if you want to read the full thing. And I'm just going to be, as quickly as I can in the course of this video, going over what I believe to be some of the biggest points of interest from that blog. Now, before we get started with all that, I do want to say that this was a pivotal moment when in regards to both Bungie, Activision Blizzard, and of course Destiny 2. They needed to say some big stuff to really soothe some of the fears that the community, and of course myself, even have about the way Destiny has been handled and where exactly the franchise is going. And overall, I think they did a pretty good job. This blog post isn't going to cover everything that I'm worried about. Of course, it's not going to have all the changes that I'd like to see to the game. I don't think there was ever really a chance for that. With the extremely short amount of time Bungie had before they made this sort of announcement. But it does address quite a few things, and it does point towards some fairly bright items in the future. Not just like at some abstract point in the future, at defined moments, because of course this blog post talks about changes and updates that are going to be coming on specific dates, most notably next week with the launch of Curse of Osiris on December 5th, and then a week after that on December 12th. So I'm going to try to separate some of the bits of news and information into categories. So first we're going to cover all the stuff, or rather all the big stuff that's going to be coming next week on December 5th. Then we'll be talking about the changes that are supposed to be coming on December 12th, and then whatever else is coming in the future. So let's go ahead and dive on into it. First things first, let's talk a bit about December 5th. Of course, this is the date next Tuesday when Curse of Osiris is going live. Preloads will be going live at some point in time soon. Here's some of the changes you can expect to see. Armor ornaments for the Vanguard, the Crucible, Trials, Iron Banner, Dead Orbit, Future War Cult, New Monarchy, raid gear ornaments for completing specific objectives to each set. We're going to be getting armor set ornaments for basically every faction in the game. And not only that, you'll be able to pick up these armor ornaments from the vendors themselves alongside weapons and armor. That's going to be kind of swapping out on a weekly basis. Think of the old system for Destiny 1 where you could use legendary shards, legendary marks, whatever they were back in D1, to buy specific gear from vendors. That's coming back, which that is a good, big, fantastic change. Just the armor ornaments in and of themselves was a great system that the live team brought forward in the later years of Destiny 1, and it's something that I absolutely wanted to see when it came to Destiny 2. So these armor ornaments will be added to some existing armor sets for more visual customization without losing your shaders or mods. These ornaments will be unlocked by completing objectives specific to each set, and they're permanently unlocked account-wide, just like exotic weapon ornaments. So you only need to unlock them once, and then anytime you get that armor, you'll be able to activate them on it. They'll be applied to the base pieces that you may have already collected and can now unlock on vendors if you haven't. Next, there's going to be changes coming eventually to the mod system. Rare quality mods will now dismantle into gunsmith materials and have a chance to produce a legendary quality mod component. And if you've been chasing specific legendary mods, like, kinetic legendary mods, Banshee will offer a selection of specific legendary mods for direct purchase, with a selection that will rotate daily and cost legendary shards or mod components. And of course, these aren't the only vendors that are changing. Master Rahul will now sell some legendary engrams for shards, taking him back to completing kind of the same role he did in Destiny 1. You'll remember in that game, he wasn't just the one-stop shop for you to turn in your engrams. You could also buy some engrams from him, so he's getting that functionality back. Again, they talked a bit about giving you more places to spend your currencies, because of course there are some people out there with thousands of legendary shards because they just don't use them for anything other than like flipping mods over at Banshee. So they're giving you more places to spend that stuff, with vendors now having weapons and armor for sale. Also on December 5th, we're going to be seeing a change to the token economy. Daily challenges and strikes will have more, and Cade chests will vary with minimum payouts of tokens. Additionally, raid tokens can now be redeemed immediately at Benedict, the little bot, the sweeper bot in the tower, without fully clearing the Leviathan raid. Beforehand, if you got some tokens but you didn't finish Callus, you wouldn't be able to turn those in at Benedict. That's no longer going to be the case, even if you haven't cleared the raid. If you've got tokens, you can turn them in at the big man. And finally, the last quality of life change for December 5th is that reputation for reward engrams will increase. Planets will be seeing a 37% increase for reputation, and Gunsmith will be seeing a 50% increase for reputations. So you're going to have to invest a little bit more in some of those vendors to get your stuff, but you're going to be getting more stuff from those vendors. But don't worry, you're going to have plenty of sources for those tokens. Daily challenges will have reputation token awards increased across the board. Strikes will now drop a larger number of Vanguard reputation tokens, and they've bumped up a few other rewards from other places like Cade chests and World chests and stuff like that. But alright, that's pretty much it for all of the quality of life changes that are going to be coming on December 5th. Next up, a week later, we've got another patch inbound, December 12th, and this one's going to have some really big changes in it. Let's get into it. First off, faction armor and weapons will be unlocked for purchase with shards and tokens. All 5 armor slots will be available on vendors, and weapons will rotate weekly. These will be unlockable via claiming reward engrams from factions, basically leveling up your faction by turning in your tokens and getting your engrams from it, is what's going to be able to unlock these faction armor and weapon sales from those vendors. And don't worry, it's going to be retroactive, so if you've earned a bunch of credit towards factions from the launch, you'll still have that apply towards unlocking these weapons and armor in the future. Xur is also going to be seeing some big changes coming on December 12th. Every week, you'll be able to acquire one of the new faded engrams using legendary shards that will decrypt as exotics that aren't already in your collection. That's right, your collected cries have been heard. Xur's got a brand new item to sell called the Isochronal Engram. This is going to cost you about 97 legendary shards, and it's going to decrypt, at least if they coded everything correctly, into an exotic that you don't already own. Very interesting change. Also worth noting, on this Xur page, we also get to see what looks to be some brand new exotic hunter boots. Interesting little Easter egg, Bungie. Can't wait to see what they actually do. But that's not the only big change with Xur. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see something that looks very familiar to the old eyes of Destiny 1 players. That's right, 3 of coins are returning. A simpler 3 of coins that boost exotic drop rates from any source for 4 hours. You're no longer going to have any obscure stacking mechanics or need to reapply before every boss. You pop one of these things and boom, it's going to be active for 4 hours. These are going to cost you legendary shards, and you can have as many as you like. So it looks like that criticism of Xur not having enough things to sell and there just not being enough reasons to use legendary shards is definitely being addressed with the patch that's going into effect on December 12th. Next, we're going to be seeing some consumables from Lord Shaxx and Commander Zavala. You'll be able to purchase these with legendary shards, and you can utilize them for strikes in Crucible. They grant bonus rewards to everyone, whether they're your friend or your foe in PvP, once the match is completed. They award anything from faction tokens to a round of exotics for everyone in the match. Which seems kind of insane. We've never really seen anything quite like that when it comes to Destiny before. Could you imagine completing a match in Crucible and boom, everybody on both teams just gets an exotic? You'll be buying a round of drinks for one player, that's for sure. They've also worked to relax some of the exploit safeguards on chest and resource nodes on planets. If you ever opened a bunch of treasure chests in quick succession and noticed that you didn't get anything from them, well, that's what they're relaxing here, so that it happens basically less often. And also, one more big quality of life change. Vendors will now light up only when you have enough tokens for a reward, not when you have any tokens in your inventory. So if you ever looked at your map when you're in like the farm or when you're in like the tower and you've seen vendors just constantly flashing and it drives you insane, it's only going to happen when you have enough for an engram. It's a small change, but it's one I'm thankful for. And finally, one of the last biggest things I've waited to talk about is of course the introduction of the all-new Masterwork system. This is probably going to be the big ticket item that came out of this blog post, as it introduces an entirely new system to Destiny that's going to be returning at least a little bit of that power to players' hands. So, Masterworks are going to be a new, almost modifiable system for legendary weapons in Destiny 2. Consider it a new tier of legendary weapons, a little bit higher than normal legendaries, but not quite as high as exotics. Masterwork weapons will have a few advantages over the baseline legendary weapons. You'll be able to track and display the number of kills with that weapon, with the choice between total count or crucible only kills. You'll be able to generate orbs for you and your allies on multi-kills. That's already a huge benefit. It adds weapon stat bonuses that are selected randomly from a small pool and are, get this, re-rollable. This could potentially be huge. If stat bonuses refers to what I think it does, and it allows you to change things like the impact, the rate of fire, the stability, the handling, the reload speed, the RPM, that could completely turn the meta on its head. We've had re-rolling in Destiny before, where you can choose what type of perks, not really choose, but roll for the types of perks that you want on your weapon. We had that back in year 1, but we've never really had a way to directly control the stats of a weapon, and that could potentially be huge. I can't wait to hear more about it. I mean, could you imagine a faster firing Uriel's Gift? Could you imagine a better Devils with better impact, but it doesn't really affect the rate of fire or anything like that? There are some options here, definitely interesting. But anyways, Masterwork weapons will drop from any source of legendary weapons for characters above 250 power. So once you hit that threshold, you have a chance at getting Masterwork weapons to drop. But don't worry, you can build them too. Any unwanted Masterworks can be dismantled into materials that can upgrade an existing legendary weapon into a Masterwork weapon. So you'll be able to take your favorite gun, add these perks to it, and change its stats. So yes, you'll be able to take your favorite gun. If you've already got a Masterwork weapon, you can dismantle that kind of stuff, get the materials to upgrade your favorite gun, add this extra perk to it, and be able to mess with its stats just a little bit. Additionally, both Raid and Trials of the Nine weapons will have a very high chance to be Masterworks weapons, giving you further incentive to go and run that content. Even if you've already got all the Trials guns, even if you've already got all the Raid guns, if you've got the Masterworks versions of those, getting more of those Masterwork weapons that you can dismantle and then apply to other weapons that you might like. Definitely worth your time. Which of course is exactly the kind of change we've needed to see in Destiny for a while. Finally, we have future plans to extend the Masterwork system to other gear and expose your kill counts in more places. And that's pretty much it, Guardians. That sounds like an incredible change. The Masterwork system adding that third perk that we've been missing on Legendary since Destiny 1 is something I've talked about. It's a good change. I think it's something that we kind of needed to see. It gives you something to chase for, gives you a reward to continue playing for, because of course you're always going to get guns that you want to play with, and being able to upgrade them to this new Masterwork system is definitely A-okay in my book. Now after that, they've got a bunch of things planned for the new year, like the emote wheel, duplicate exotic protection, changes to the mod economy, which is very interesting to hear, penalties for PvP quitters, etc., etc. But that's all the stuff that we're going to be seeing very soon on either December 5th or December 12th. And again, I think some of these changes are absolutely fantastic. The change to vendors, the change to rewards from strikes and whatnot. Unfortunately, we didn't really hear too much about the modifiers again and whatnot that's going to be a part of strikes. I'd really love to see what's going to be contained in the Heroic Strike playlist, but I guess we'll find out in just a few days. But most of these changes, they're good. The Masterwork system is definitely exciting to me. It's going to give me a reason to hop back on and actually go for guns and complete the raid again, which is what I wanted. I was hoping we'd hear more about the mod changes coming soon, but I guess it's going to take them a little bit more time to kind of refigure out how they want to work that whole system. And additionally, there's no big structural changes coming. Stuff like, going back to a 6v6 Crucible, although I thought there was really very small chance of that happening. And again, just given the time frame Bungie's had to respond to some of the community feedback, there was really no chance we were going to hear anything like that within this blog post or within the podcast that Bungie put up earlier this week, which explains all of these changes in a bit more detail, and it's really interesting to listen to. I'll leave a link to that in the description box below as well. But alright, Guardians, that is pretty much it for Bungie's blog post about the state of Destiny 2. I think they answered quite a few things that they needed to. I think they do still have a long way to go before they make their game really the time sink that everybody wants it to be. But this is a good step forward. If they can keep up with this type of transparency, this type of communication, and with these types of changes, we might have some hope for Destiny 2 sometime in the future. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you Guardians think down in the comment section below. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on all the latest streams and videos from my channel. But alright, that's it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. As always, I am TheBlackLink. You Guardians, stay frosty.